The Al-Sukura TIA school became the first non-Christian denominational school to get state aid from the government in 1949. In the 1950s, the TIA school board used the mosque properties to operate classes. With the growing number of students, the government agreed to construct another school in the community. This was the Nur-E-Islam TIA school. When this school was relocated in 1965, Mosque number 2 was demolished to make way for the existing masjid.
We negotiated with the government and they agreed to grant us money to build a new school.
In October 1957, the Islamic Youth Movement was founded by the late Shamsuddin Muhammad and a group of young men. 3 months later, in January 1958, the San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization was formed.
When we think of the San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization, we automatically, here in San Juan at least, at the Nur-E-Islam Jamaat, we automatically think of the Islamic Youth Movement. The movement that was founded on the 15th of October 1957 in the namaz room of the brother Kamaluddin Muhammad. And the foundation members at that time included the late Sham Muhammad, Majid Mustafa, Ahmad Ali, Asghar Ali, Jamil Ali, the late Qayyum Mustafa, and brother Sadiq Ramzan Ali. Those handful of young men, they came together with one idea in mind, to provide an opportunity for the young Muslims of the San Juan area to come together, to grow up together, to share their Islam together, and to live happy Muslim lives. Alhamdulillah, the initial success of the Islamic Youth Movement in October of 1957 made it necessary for a ladies organization to come forward, and this is where the San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization was born in January of 1958, just 3 or 4 months after the formation of the Islamic Youth Movement. And together, the Islamic Youth Movement, with its motto, service to humanity, and the San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization, they have worked together through thick and thin to help the Muslim men and women, the youths and the young ladies of the San Juan area to grow as Muslims here in Trinidad and Tobago. It is significant to note that when the Islamic Youth Movement was founded in 1957, the Imam at the old Nur-E-Islam Masjid was Imam Ghulam Hussain. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1958, just a few months after the formation of the San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization. This is when the late Imam Razak Ali, who passed away quite recently on the 17th of November, this is when Imam Razak Ali took over the mantle of Imam at the Nur-E-Islam Jamaat since 1958 until a few years ago when he became ill. The Imam Razak Ali worked together with members of the Islamic Youth Movement and the San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization to ensure Islam was strong in the San Juan El Socorro area.
At that time, we had this girl, Rafina, was there. I was vice president, and that is how I became president. Yes, when she left.
Could you describe the relationship that existed with the Islamic Youth Movement and as well with the Nur-E-Islam Mosque Board, and give us some details that you can remember?
We had very cordial relation with them, you know. The three groups always meet. Well, we had 2 representatives from the ladies and I believe 3 from the youth movement. So when they have any general meeting, they call us, the representative will go to the mosque board meeting and they discuss what is taking place and what will take place, what is the future plans and so. And they come back to us and discuss it with us and they meet again, and that is how we carry on.
The mosque board continued under the old administration whilst your father was away. And when he came back, he came with a lot of ideas because he was a member of the youth movement from before. And we decided to have better cohesion and unity, that we should have a constitution drafted which would put the ladies movement and the Islamic Youth Movement with delegates on the board. And certain very stringent rules were put in the legal document. And that is to say, we must be of Ahle Sunnat Jamaat, and we have to follow the rules of consultation, and nobody could give any lectures or do anything there that is outside of the practice of the Ahle Sunnat wal Jamaat.
Together with a reconstituted mosque board chaired by Kamaluddin Mohammed and comprising the late Shamsuddin Mohammed as vice chairman, Mr. Hakim Ali as secretary, Imam Razak Ali as treasurer, Mr. Sheikh Hashim Muzaffar, Mr. Faraq Mustafa and Zaid Mustafa as trustees, Mr. Usman Ghani, Mr. Sadiq Ramzan Ali and Mr. Samad Abdul from the IYM, as well as 3 representatives from the San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization and Mr. Mohammed Hanif Hussain as the builder, work commenced on the construction of the existing concrete 2-story structure, now known as the Nur-E-Islam Mosque, in January of 1966.
Because the mosque was too small, and we had people who were involved there who had ideas of putting down something that would be a monument in the country. And I was going to Africa, and I was told that in Africa there were some very beautiful masjids, and particularly in Senegal. And I was asked to look at the masjid in Senegal, and I got a plan of the masjid in Senegal and all the facilities which they had for madrasa, maktab, and for all the facilities. And I brought that here and I gave it to Mr. Hanif.
Mr. Hanif was...
he was a member of the mosque board at the time.
And he was a builder.
And he was a builder, not an architect. But he took it and he did his best. And we used the design of that with all the facilities that we had downstairs for the women.
Could you describe what it was like?
Yes. Well, that masjid over there in Africa it was a multi-purpose masjid and hall where the women had the freedom to operate. They had their own section, they had their own kitchen, they had their own library. The youths had their own and the men had their own. So we incorporated that in this masjid and we had no problems. And things were working very, very smoothly.
Through the collaborative efforts of the Nur-E-Islam Mosque Board, the Islamic Youth Movement, and the San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization, funds were raised through the kind cash donations from many persons in Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean. Fundraising events like bazaars, tea parties, Eid dinners and excursions were organized, and donations of labor, material and services resulted in the completion of the magnificent building known as the Nur-E-Islam Mosque in 1967.
The idea came first with the ladies groups, with the ladies group. And whenever we get the money, we put it to the mosque board, and the 3 get together, and then from there were a lot. We had, first I must say, it's good unity. Yes, good unity, good cooperation between the mosque board, the ladies group, the IYM was real good cooperation. Right, and from the time the mosque board say something, they get together, and we all work together. And that is right. Tea party, bazaar. Yes, these were some of the chief that we did, and we were very, very successful.
At that time, what I recall is that all functions that were held were in collaborative efforts among the San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization, the Islamic Youth Movement, and the Nur-E-Islam Mosque Board. As a matter of fact, nothing that the San Juan ladies or the Islamic Youth Movement did was without the consent of the Nur-E-Islam Mosque Board. There were permanent members on that board, and as I mentioned before, there were some who served, 3 who served on behalf of the ladies and 3 who served on behalf of the youth. A lot of activities took place regarding fundraising, because we wanted to purchase that piece of land and the monies had to come from somewhere. So fundraising activities were held with these 3 groups, as I mentioned before, and I recall very much too at a ceremony that we had that some of the money was handed over to the mosque board members to go towards the purchase of that land.